another installment of Nolas of GMS, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Today's topic is going to be entitled Prophecies and Current Events. That's an ongoing title that we use every once in a while. Today's date is August 2nd. Am I right? August the 2nd? August the 2nd. Saturday, August the 2nd of 2014. And there's a lot of prophecies that are taking place right before your eyes. So we're going to play on the prophecies. In other words, we're going to go into the scriptures and go into the different current events. And we're going to read these different news articles, and we're going to filter them through the scriptures. So y'all got it. All right, let's start with that. And speak loud.
All right, this is an article that we got from the Philadelphia Trumpet. This is the latest edition, August 2014. The name of this article is Khomeini War Missiles. All right, it says Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khomeini spoke out on May 11th in favor of enhancing his nation's ballistic missile program. He made his comments just 2 days.
Speak loud.
He made his comments just 2 days before the P5+1 nations convened to discuss possible ways to continue the negotiations on Iran's nuclear program.
Yeah, because according to Bible prophecy, Iran is one of the countries that's going to shoot missiles on America. As a matter of fact, give me the book of Ezekiel, 38th chapter. That's why Iran is ramping up those nuclear missiles, because they're one of the countries, right along with Libya and Russia, that's going to shoot missiles right here in America. All right, so that's what he's reading is Bible prophecy.
Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God.
That's why when you read in the Bible about mystery Babylon the Great, one of the mysteries is that America is known in the Bible as Babylon the Great. Another mystery is that America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. That's a mystery to a lot of these people. If we were to take this camera and go to each individual person and ask them what is the future of America, a lot of them won't know. A lot of them will say America will prosper. All right? But not, I guarantee you not one of them is going to say that America is going to be destroyed by nuclear destruction, because that's a mystery to these people. Go ahead.
Set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal.
Now, without going into a long dissertation about explaining Gog and Magog represents modern-day Russia. Okay? Go on.
Right, and prophesy against them.
And prophesy against them. Go on.
And say, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal.
Go on.
And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws.
And I will turn thee back. That means the Lord is going to bring back Russia to how it used to be. How it used to be during that communist state. Back in, what is that, 1917?
World War I, right?
Yeah, a little after 1917. When the Rothschilds took over.
Yeah, the Bolshevik Revolution.
Which the Bolsheviks were financed by the Rothschilds. They were like the henchmen for the Rothschilds. Now from then, Russia became what you call a communist state. All right, now.
Yeah, Karl Marx and Frederick Engels,
right,
which they were financed by the Rothschilds.
That's right.
Yep.
Now what you have is, it says, read that part again?
Yep, it says, and I will turn thee back.
And I will turn thee back, because during the late 80s into the early 90s, Russia became like an independent states, a bunch of independent states. Now you got this president there, Vladimir Putin. He wants to bring back Russia to the old glory days of the communist state. So that's the prophecy right there. The Lord turning back Russia, bringing them back to this total communist state. All right? Go ahead.
And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws.
So we're in that time now, where Russia is being turned back to the way it used to be, that total communist state. And the main guy behind it is Vladimir Putin, which Vladimir Putin, by the way, he hates America. All right?
And let me say this too, and that's what's helping that happen. You see that prophecy when they put passed these sanctions against Russia. The United States and the UK, they put sanctions against Russia. So that's making Russia, that's making them turn back into that communist ways.
That's right. That's right. Go ahead.
It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth.
And I will bring thee forth. So we're about to approach that time, which we're approaching steadily. Go ahead.
And all thine army.
And all thine army. Go on.
Horses and horsemen.
That represents the tanks. That represents the airplanes. That represents the weapons of war. All right. Go ahead.
All of them clothed with all sorts of armor.
All sorts of armor. As a matter of fact, I believe it's every year in Red Square, which Red Square is located in Russia, they always have those armaments which they put on display. And they show their barrage of tanks. They show their weapons. They show their missiles. They put it on display, really as a taunting and a teasing to the West, which is America. And show their military power, because eventually America and Russia, they're going to get into it. Okay.
All those communist countries do that. They display. The Chinese do it. The Koreans, the North Koreans do it.
Right.
All those different, like I said, those communist countries do that.
Right. And why do they do it? As a taunting and a teasing to the West. All right. Because it's going to be East versus West, basically. Right.
Yeah, because at one time, America, they used to flex their muscle on these nations. Because after they dropped in World War II, when they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were like puffing at people because they were like the bullies on the block, so to speak. But now what's happening is these other nations, they're getting the same technology that America had to fight against them. So now America has to back off. They can't be the bully that they used to be.
Yeah, like Pakistan, they got the bomb. All right, and that's that prophecy. As a matter of fact, bring it up. Okay, bring it up. Then there's the one in Obadiah. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming.
Right, the hell is talking about is destruction and eventually slavery. And this is pertaining to the so-called white man, who, by the way, this world, this kingdom, is controlled by the so-called white man, who are known as the Edomites in the Bible, which the top so-called white family is the Rothschild family. So hell is being prepared for them. Hell is slavery. As a matter of fact, the first crop of slaves is going to be those international banking families which are controlling the world right now. The top family being the Rothschild family. They're going into slavery underneath us, the Israelites. Go ahead.
It stirred up the dead for thee.
It stirred up the dead. The dead, that's talking about the other nations, which in the scriptures they're known also as the dead, because they're not as powerful as the top superpower, which is America. All right? Go ahead.
Even all the chief ones of the earth,
Go on.
that have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations.
Right, all the other nations. Go ahead.
And they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we?
Now, who are they saying this to? To the so-called Americans. Have you become as weak as us? Meaning we're able to match you in power now. Like Pakistan, at one time, Pakistan was not as powerful as America, military-wise, but now you can say Pakistan and America are sort of on equal footing because they both have the missiles. They both have the bombs capable to wipe each other out. All right? Pakistan, what's another example? Pakistan, China. At one time, China was known for what? A bunch of boots on bikes. All right? Now they got that technology, man. You know, now they got that technology. Now they got that million-man army. So now they can talk shit to America. Right?
Before, when they dropped the atomic bomb over there in those cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki,
That was Japan, yeah.
over there in Japan, they had them in fear over there. That's right. When they dropped that. But now, North Korea, they got missiles too. They're not afraid of you no more. Now they're on the playing ground is even now.
Yeah, the playing field has been leveled. Right. Nobody really fears America anymore. Right? And that's a sign of America losing its power.
Yeah.
losing that big bully status that it once had.
And we just
Yeah, yeah.
right here. It says Asian commodity camaraderie. I'm sorry, Asian camaraderie, a detriment to America.
Look at that. Look at
All right.
that. Look at that.
Yep. And
Now, you know what comes to mind in the Apocrypha, because in the Apocrypha it says, "Woe unto you down Babylon, down Asia, Babylonia, thou take partake of the hope of Babylon." Meaning that the so-called Asians, they believe they're going to be the next superpower, which that's not according to the scriptures.
Right.
And it says here, China, Russia, gas deal. So this is like an article on how China,
Russia.
right, from contempt to camaraderie. It's hard for me to say that, but it's dealing with Russia. It's dealing with Russia becoming closer friends to China, or with China. Here it is, the rise of Asia. All right. So there's some good articles when I get this, and when I get this magazine here, man, there's some good articles that you can go into and filter through the scriptures. You know?
That's right. Yeah. And the reason why Asia and Russia is becoming friends is to come together in solidarity to destroy America. That's the #1 reason. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, and basically the dollar is losing power as a world reserve currency. So you got nations like the BRICS nation, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which are coming together to trade with the money that they set up. They set up a bank. You know, they're setting up it's going to be capital of it is going to be in Shanghai. You know, so they're setting up something outside of America because everybody's starting to wake up to America's wickedness. They see America comes into a country, they'll lend the country money to so-called help them, but then that country ends up being in debt to America, and America ends up taking their resources and their lands. You know, so these nations are waking up and they're seeing the wickedness that America's doing, and they're backing off and making deals among themselves, which is in turn making the dollar weaker and weaker because they're no longer in that game, so to speak. You know.
Hey, if I can say this, as part of that, the wine of Babylon's fornication, because they sold out the nations through their currency. The nations trusted it, which they made the U.S. dollar their reserve money or whatever. Then they came to find out that it was worth nothing, going back to 1913. So now what's going on? That the U.S. put sanctions on Russia, dealing with businesses and stuff that no U.S. or Western business could deal with Russia, so that Russia could make their money in certain European nations. So Russia said, well, you know what? Screw you. Y'all going down anyway, so we're gonna deal with China and buy some of their bonds, so we don't have to deal with Western bonds and stuff like that. That's part of Russia coming back to how they used to be, and mending with these other nations to come up against the United States.
Right, it says, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we?
So now you know what that means. That's talking about the other nations being as powerful as America due to the fact that they have the nuclear bomb. All right, go ahead.
It says, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee.
Right, the worm is talking about corrosion, which if you look at the infrastructure of America, even that is tanking. The infrastructure of America, the last grade that they received was a D. The roads are falling apart, the bridges are falling apart, the pipes, the sewage. So that's an example of the corrosion that's spread underneath this place, which is another sign of it's going down. As a matter of fact, in the Roman Empire, you had a main road called the Appian Way. And one of the signs of the decline of the Roman Empire was that road going in decline, meaning the Appian Way. It started to dilapidate. All right, so that's just an example of the worm that spread underneath. Go ahead.
It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which thence weaken the nations? But thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend unto heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mountain of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend
The amount of the congregation, that's talking about the Israelites. And when they said, when the scripture said, I will exalt my throne above the stars, meaning the space program that the Americans have. They got that space program where they're setting up the shuttles up there. All right, you got the space stations. So that's an example of them exalting their throne above the stars.
Yeah, because they know that Yahushua is coming back with the angels, so they're trying to find a way to escape. You know, that's why, because for a long time they knew that the so-called chariots, or the so-called UFOs, the chariots were out there. But then they were keeping it out of the media from the average person. But then back in the 50s, a whole bunch of chariots came down on Washington, D.C.
Yeah, 52, 1950.
You know, during the Eisenhower presidency or administration. You know, so what happened was that when they saw that, they said, look, we got to do something about this. So they started all these different programs, you know, trying to go out into space, set up space stations and stuff, so that when Yahushua comes back, they can escape. But they're not going to escape.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, go back. Okay, so read that part again in the article.
Right, it says, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei spoke out on May 11th in favor of enhancing his nation's ballistic missile program. He made his comment just 2 days before the B5+1 nations convened to discuss possible ways to continue the negotiations on Iran's nuclear program.
So according to the article, Iran is beefing up their nuclear program. Now let's go into prophecy.
Okay, now back in Ezekiel 38, and I'll read 4 again. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws,
Which is talking about Russia being turned back to a communist state underneath Vladimir Putin. Go on.
and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia.
Okay, you notice it says Persia. Now Persia, back in 1935, the name Persia was changed to Iran. Right? So when it says Persia, that's talking about Iran. So Iran is going to be one of the countries that's going to join with Russia to come against America. All right? Go ahead.
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia is another one. Okay? Go ahead.
And Libya.
And Libya. And all these countries, they have one thing in common. They hate America. And they want to see America on fire. They want to see this place destroyed. They hate its policy. They hate its government. They hate the traditions, the so-called American traditions. They hate Hollywood, which Hollywood is one of the places that are corrupting the morals of the world. Hollywood.
Yep. Yeah, that's why when these nations come over here, their women become hoes. You know, here it is, you got these women that dress up and they cover themselves up in their country. When they come here, they take their veils off, they take off, you know, their head covering. They start wearing tight pants, their titties showing.
I'll give you an example. We frequent an East Indian restaurant, and the guy who owns the East Indian restaurant, he's always showing those Bollywood videos on the TV. So we got to talking to him. He said, look, I hate those damn videos. Because in the Bollywood videos, it shows you the women dancing half naked, East Indian women. And he said that they expose too much. That's what he said. And he's from the old school. So that's just an example of how the older Indian people over there in India feel about their women dressing half naked. And who's to blame for that? America. Hollywood. Hey, they call it Bollywood. Over there in India, they call it Bollywood. So that's one of the reasons why America got to be destroyed, man. And America will. Go ahead.
It says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them.
Persia represents Iran, right? Libya, Ethiopia, go on.
And Libya with them. All of them with shield and helmet.
So they're all going to come with these weapons of war against America. Go ahead.
It says Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them.
Right, so those nations, like Iran being one of them, they're going to guard